I honestly think right now, Japanese Pokemon card collectors are getting completely priced out of the scene. Entirely. There are a few reasons why I think we're getting priced out. It's not just one. There are a few different factors. There's lots of different things happening all at once, which are pricing out long-term collectors and new collectors, people that have just come into collecting Japanese Pokemon cards, which is disappointing. I don't say that lightly. To say that people are getting priced out is a pretty dramatic statement because it's basically saying the hobby is getting too expensive for anybody, which isn't entirely the case. If you've got deep pockets, you can still engage in Japanese Pokemon card collecting pretty easily. A lot of Japanese Pokemon card collectors in Japan specifically have very deep pockets. Taj has talked about this a lot and he's not wrong. The more expensive cards get, the deeper their pockets get. It's ridiculous. They are literally whales in Japan. They are literally whales. Darkrai, you make a really good point. It's almost as if gacha whales have moved over to IRL PNGs. You make a very good point. Like I said, there are a few reasons why I think this is happening, right? The first reason is that you're not able to pre-order sets at recommended retail price anymore. Those days are pretty much long gone. The horse is bolted. So the most common price for a new booster box in Japan for a new, expansion or strengthening expansion, it's usually 4,950 yen. You get 30 packs inside. That's the retail price. If you're lucky, you can sometimes pre-order it for 3,950 yen. Those days are well and truly gone. So pre-ordering is becoming a thing of the past. That's one factor that's pricing people out or creating another barrier for entry, especially if you're trying to get new sets. One of the other factors is that resellers pretty much own the international market right now. So again, coming back to that pre-order point, for a very long time, you could pre-order from a lot of pretty popular and reliable Japanese online stores that don't sell to Japanese market. They only sell internationally. They're getting less and less stock. What's happening is resellers in Japan are pushing the price of boxes up on the secondary market, creating little incentive for those retailers to sell their boxes at their usual retail price. Obviously what's going to happen is people are just going to buy those boxes super cheap and then sell them for that secondary market price. So it's creating this weird dynamic where resellers are basically controlling the prices of boxes, controlling the behavior of stores as well. Resellers are basically creating this environment where stores have to sell at limits. A lot of stores today in Japan were selling the new set Blue Sky Stream and Skyscraping Perfect. It was like a 2 or 3 pack limit per person. We're not even talking boxes anymore. This was packs per person, which is a good thing because it's creating a better environment for players. But you used to be able to have your cake and eat it in Japan, where you could get boxes pretty easily. You didn't have to worry about that reseller market creating this issue in stores. The best boxes I could find on eBay was 2 times MSRP. And that's pretty crazy. For a new release, for the best price on the secondary market to be 2 times the recommended retail price, it's pretty crazy. And it makes it very difficult. When that's happening on day one, it makes it very difficult for newcomers to come into the game and for existing collectors to continue enjoying the hobby that they love. It is good that there are limits, but 3 packs is basically nothing. They're basically pushing collectors to the side. Okay, one of the other factors is that the lack of consistent printing on these sets is causing the single cards to dry up faster than ever before. So because there are less of the new sets being printed, there's less singles out there, less singles are being sold back to stores. It's forcing that price to go up way quicker than it ordinarily would because the sets are going out of stock faster and the cards are becoming more limited way faster. And what normally happens is a restock will come around and it will just push everything back down. That restock, that wave isn't coming. And we saw that with Eevee Heroes. When that second wave came, it was a very small second wave. The second that second wave was gone, we know that there's no more Eevee Heroes coming for a while now. All the V special arts, all the VMAX special arts went right back up in price. The Eevee set came down to like 29,000 yen. Once that wave went, bang, straight up to 40,000 yen again. It's not creating an artificial lack of single cards. It is literally a lack of single cards. Like those single cards are just not there anymore. One other factor that is making things harder, especially for modern collectors, and this is a very recent thing. There have been a few reports on Japanese Twitter. You might have seen this article over at pokeguardian.com. Check it out after the video. You know I love them. Basically, a lot of Japanese collectors have opened up boxes of Blue Sky Stream and Skyscraping Perfect, and they have found that there is no super rare inside. Now, usually with sets starting from about SM3, I'm pretty sure it's SM3, you always found a super rare or higher inside a Japanese booster box. But with these sets today, we've seen a lot of reports on Twitter. I've seen YouTube videos as well showing people not finding a super rare from a booster box. Now, usually what happens when you don't find a super rare in a booster box these days from Japan, Pokemon Company in Japan will reimburse you, they'll fix you up. However, I don't think that's going to happen this time, and the reason why I say that, and this is all speculative, is because usually when a new set comes out, they will promote the fact that you'll find a super rare or higher from a set. The last set that did this was Jet Black Poltergeist and Silver Lance. Eevee Heroes, they didn't promote it in this way. And again, with these two sets today, they didn't put that tweet out, they didn't put that advertisement out saying that you'll find one SR or higher. So to see this many cases on day one where people haven't found it, coupled with the fact that they haven't put out that usual statement or advertisement saying that you do find one, looks a little bit suspicious. It could be an error, and I do hope it is, but if it's not, this is going to make things even harder for modern collectors. It's going to push the price of all those single SRs, the special arts, the hyper rares, whatever, all the way up, because not only is it harder to find them, not only are there more of them in a set, so it's getting even harder to complete a master set, but now you're not even guaranteed to find one when you buy a box. So the incentive for buying a box is kind of lost a little bit, and the price of the singles, because a strategy for a lot of collectors is to skip the box and buy the singles, the price of the singles is now rocketing up. I mean, granted, you will still find the other cards, you will still find V and VMAX and the rare cards inside, and you will be able to find a full base set after 2 or 3 boxes, but not finding a super rare is pretty huge. Like, you can't lie, it's taking the wind out of it a little bit. Basically, the days of opening boxes, opening packs, just for the fun of it, they're kind of gone a little bit, because yeah, you might not find a super rare at all. If you find a disappointing super rare, it hits a little bit harder because there are so many super rares in modern sets, and you can't go again as easily as you used to because it's so much more expensive to buy a booster box. If you wanted to go again with sets like Shocking Volt Tackle, VMAX Rising, those older sets from last year, even Shining Star V before it blew up, you could relatively easily, but now it's just not, it's not viable. Essentially, the main factors right now that are absolutely making it super difficult for new people to come into the game and existing collectors, the sets are larger, there's more super rare, hyper rare, ultra rare cards than ever, the sets are more expensive on release, there's less supply than ever before. We now have this added potential factor, which is that you might not even find a super rare or higher, and it is creating this perfect storm of huge barrier to entry that's purely financial. When it comes to card collecting, whether it's English or Japanese, a lot of people's attention is focused on chase cards only focus on super rares, only focus on special arts, and if you do that, you get blinded. You do get blinded by that type of card only. So when those types of cards get super expensive, it gets too hard to buy those cards, naturally you feel like you're priced out. And I feel the same way too. There are a lot of sets where I thought I was close to completing them that I'm now nowhere near close to completing because I can't afford the special arts, I can't afford the chase cards in those sets again. A lot of the reasons that I just outlined as to why it feels like Japanese card collectors are getting priced out are purely financial. And I don't like talking about the financial side of the hobby on this channel a lot because I feel like it can direct people in directions that, you know, I don't want to influence you in certain ways. I want you to collect for your own reasons. The reasons why I collect are the reasons why I collect. They shouldn't be the reasons why you collect. And I don't have the answers for you. However, you can't just ignore the financial side of this hobby because it does play a big factor in it. It is the elephant in the room, but it doesn't need to be what drives your enjoyment of the hobby. Even if we are sort of getting priced out of collecting modern sets right now, it doesn't mean that collecting Japanese cards isn't fun anymore. What it means is that you need to look at other aspects of the hobby, other avenues of collecting, other ways to get your enjoyment. And I think with Japanese Pokemon cards, there are a lot of ways to continue collecting where it's still affordable, where you can still have fun. And I'm going to outline a few for you guys today. So one of the main ones that I think everybody should try and get involved with, and I'm going to focus on this a little bit more than the others, is collecting cards from particular artists. And I find this extremely rewarding for many reasons. The first is that you have to do a lot of research. You want to look at your collection and you want to look at cards that you might have overlooked. Like when you're trying to find like the V and the VMAXs or whatever, you want to look at your commons and uncommons. And I'm sure when you guys have opened up boxes, you've looked at cards and you've said, holy crap, that's a fantastic illustration. That's just an uncommon. I do it all the time when I say it should have been a rare. Look for those cards, have a look at who the artist is, and then go and look at the rest of their cards. It's very easy to do online. You can look it up on Serebii.net. It's a fantastic resource. If you just look up the name of the artist, type in Serebii in Google. From there, you can see all the different cards that artist has drawn. And then you can go and start hunting those cards down. And I find that really fun. I like chasing single cards, single commons, uncommons, old rares and holos from particular artists, then creating a set that is just focused purely on one artist. Or you can do it on a few different artists. So artist is a really good one to create a binder out of, because then you'll have this fantastic binder that is a nice complete collection. It might not ever be complete because it's hard to get all the cards from an artist, but you'll have a binder that might not be worth a whole lot of money, but it means a bucket ton to you, right? And it's very sentimental. And I find that extremely rewarding. Who is my favorite artist? My favorite artist is Kouki Saitou. Absolute favorite. But a lot of their cards, I feel like I'm never able to have enough of their cards. There's so many. Here's a tip. Try and pick an artist that doesn't have a lot of cards if you want to start somewhere small and then go from there. I'm going to give you some artists that I think that you could look at targeting for an artist collection now. And the reason why I'm suggesting these particular artists is because they are relatively new to drawing cards for the TCG. So they're an excellent starting point. You can create a full set relatively quickly. Although some of their cards are expensive, just challenge yourself, just challenge yourself to get their cheaper cards, wait it out for their more expensive singles to come down in value. Bob's your uncle, you'll have a really cool set in no time. One of them, I speak about them all the time, it's Yuu Nishida. She is a relatively new artist for the TCG. She did win the first Illustrator Grand Prix with her Illustrator God of War card. You guys know I love it. Creatures Inc. have actually commissioned her to come back and draw a bunch of new cards. She doesn't have a huge portfolio of Pokemon cards right now, but it's growing rapidly. And I think you should try and get onto it sooner rather than later. She's drawn a lot of commons and uncommons. She's also drawn a lot of full arts and trainers. So the trainers might be a little bit more expensive, but I really like her style. And I really love that Creatures gave a new artist that was just freelancing for a long time the opportunity to come into the TCG and start drawing Pokemon cards. It's fantastic. So definitely check out her cards. Another great new artist, and again, I've spoken about them a lot. I'm going to speak about them again, is okJLUV. okJLUV was a runner-up in the first Illustrated Grand Prix. And again, Creatures Inc. have commissioned them to come and draw a bunch of cards. They've drawn cards like the Cider. They've drawn the Ice Rider Calyrex V special art, which is a chase card from Silverlance, which is still relatively cheap for a special art card. And that's their first ever special art. So what better reason than to start a collection and target their first ever secret rare card that's still about 3,000 or 4,000 yen. Arita is a classic artist to collect. Look at Arita-san's modern cards though. He started drawing a lot of special arts recently and V cards too. He wasn't drawing a lot of cards for the start of Sword and Shield. Obviously, we know he drew heaps for the end of Sun and Moon, but maybe focus on Arita-san's cards from Sword and Shield. That's actually a good point. You could do that, and I feel like that would be a really cool collection. Nakuda Pro loves this artist. This is another fantastic artist, and I really like them too. Another low-key artist that's sort of just started to get a few cards in the TCG is Nagomi Nijo. They drew the awesome Porygon from Silverlance, the Porygon 2, sorry. And they've only got to think about, looks like 4 cards so far now. Again, that's a great start. I'm talking about commons and uncommons. These cards are fantastic looking. They've got Pansage, Krogunk, Emolga, and Porygon 2. It's only a matter of time until Nijo-san is drawing special arts because these cards look fantastic. And they're only commons and uncommons. And these are the kind of cards I'm talking about that people are overlooking for chase cards and feeling bummed out that they can't collect cards anymore. If you can collect cards of this quality on the reg as just commons and uncommons, like, you are laughing. Another artist that I think is super talented, and they've got actually a bigger portfolio of cards, so this one might be a little bit more challenging, is Ryuta Fuse. Again, they've got a fantastic portfolio. They've drawn full art trainers. They drew the Misty and Lorelei from GX Tag All-Stars, which I think is a super underrated card. They've drawn the Honey full art, which was a promo for Single Strike and Rapid Strike Master. So they've got a nice range of diversity between super rare cards, promos, and then all the commons, uncommons, and rare cards they've drawn too. They've got a lot of cards, so I think that's a good collection to sort of try and start. You can have a bit of fun with it. You might get carried away with it, and if you complete it, it'll look awesome because of that diversity. Chat's very own Kaigus24 has recommended this artist to me, Aya Kusube. Their art does get overlooked a lot. I honestly haven't appreciated their art from recent sets. I've looked at a lot of their cards and said, wow, that's amazing, but not actually appreciated who the artist is. So thanks, Kaigus. They've illustrated the Gengar from Chilling Reign, which I do love. I love the tongue sticking out. Coughing as well. I love that little smile on the Coughing too. And a bunch of other cards too. So again, another artist that you can target. They've been around for a very long time. You might remember the Ho-Oh that's got Lugia and Skarmory that forms like a bigger piece of artwork is their original illustration. That's from years back too. So Kusube-san is another really cool artist that you can try and focus on and create a very nice looking collection from. Another fantastic artist is So-So. They have most likely drawn your fave. They did get their very first special art recently. They got the Espeon V special art from Eevee Heroes, but beyond the special arts, they have an absolute massive portfolio of fantastic fantastic looking cards. They've got the lovely Chincho. They've drawn this awesome Slow King, which is a promo. I think that's a friendly shop promo too. The list goes on and on. You might remember the Pikachu again from the Pika Pika promo packs. They have a massive portfolio, and a lot of their cards are commons and uncommons. So it's an excellent starting point if you're trying to focus on an artist, and you may already love a lot of their works too. I've been collecting my Latias and Regirock cards, two of my fabs aside from the gold stars. Most are affordable on your budget, and they are. You will find that a lot of those cards are really affordable. We're talking like, you know, between $2 all the way up to 20, 30 as the max for some of the harder, older cards. I just think that if you can buy like 10 or 20, 30 even cards for about $100 to $200, you'd spend that on 2 booster boxes. If you feel like you can't buy a booster box and have fun, buy a whole bunch of cards from an artist you love, create a fantastic looking binder, bang, and you're still able to enjoy the hobby. You're not actually priced out. You're priced out of modern, but what I'm getting at is that there are so many other avenues. Just because one door closes doesn't mean the rest of them do too. There are so many other ways to keep collecting. I like to get singles and sealed stuff as a way of bookmarking parts of my life. So when I see a card, I can reminisce on what I was going through when I got it, like a happy time or a not so good time. I love that. And that's what makes it so good, because that binder becomes sentimental to you. Even if the value of the cards go down, even if Pokemon cards become practically worthless financially, it doesn't matter, because you've created this awesome collection that is always going to mean something to you. You've actually removed the financial side from it, which you can do with Pokemon cards if you create a connection, you create a narrative, you create a story to your cards. And it's totally possible. I do it all the time. I'm continuously finding artists that I love, starting new collections. I think we all are. It's never ending, and it means so much more. Another avenue of collection that you can look at for Japanese cards is promos. Promos are super underrated. I'm not the first person to say this. I probably won't be the last, but you cannot go wrong with promo cards. I'm talking stuff like friendly shop promos, gym promos, old movie promos. Even if you go back like years, you can find some really good old movie promos that are still relatively easy to collect. A lot of the Sun and Moon promos are still super cheap. I know this because I've bought a bunch myself. You can still track down promos really easy. There are a lot of promos that are super expensive. Don't try and go down the all promo route, because you will find that get very expensive very, very quickly. But you can pick a bunch of promos and sort of create a themed collection around that quite easily. I think movie promos and old ones specifically, old promos from like, you know, the 2005 era. Honestly, I've looked on eBay, I've bought a few myself. They are quite affordable if you ignore the condition, because what happens a lot of the time, those promos look super expensive because people are buying them and then they're grading them, and then obviously the graded PSA 9s and 10s are super expensive. If you ignore the promos that are super expensive, that are in perfect condition, and you just focus on getting ones that look serviceable in a binder, you can create a very nice old retro nostalgic binder set with some awesome promos in it very easily. You're challenging yourself to create a new collection. You're still involved in the hobby. That will have financial worth in the future for sure. Not the same as, you know, mint cards, but those promos, there was only so many of them, right? A lot of people disregarded them. If you can find them in decent condition, it's a no-brainer, honestly. Again, I'm not talking about cards that you should buy because I think they're gonna go up in value. Again, that's not why I'm making this video. I'm talking about cards that you can still be involved with, cards that you can still buy so you can still feel like you're enjoying the hobby. You just need to look hard, challenge yourself. This is a really good one, and it's kind of tricky because I'm gonna be fully transparent with you. I do think these cards are undervalued. So looking at these cards, this is gonna be the only one that I talk about where it may have implications in the future in terms of value. This is just personal opinion. I don't think it's a sure thing, but I'd be lying if I said I don't think these are undervalued. If you actually look really hard at cards from older generations, like Black and White era, XY era, the price of some of those chase cards, or the harder to find cards, is actually extraordinarily low in comparison to the price of a sealed box. I find it insane how cheap some of these cards are when you look at the price of a booster box. Some booster boxes from the XY era and the Black and White era, they can go for between 40,000 yen all the way up to, you know, 100,000 yen, which is a lot of money. But when you look at some of the chase cards from those sets, I've bought some personally myself that are between 2,000 to 5,000 yen. Now, everyone's budgets are different, but I think 2,000 to 5,000 yen is still in that affordable range. That's still that 20 USD to 50 USD, 30 AUD to 70 AUD range. I still think that's relatively affordable. And you can find some very nice EX cards, any cards from the Black and White era, XY era, for that price. I do think a lot of older cards are very undervalued. I think that's another great challenge, to find those cards and create a collection from cards that you may not have bought in the past, that you may have missed on, that you may have slept on, right? I cannot be any more clear that I'm not saying this because I have a hidden vault of all these cards that I'm talking about. It is not the case. There's no way for me to really prove it. You just gotta take me for my word. Having said that, I have bought some of these cards myself. I'm not gonna name them specifically, because if I do name them, then it's pretty obvious that it looks like I'm trying to pump it. I'm not trying to pump it, okay? There are even certain Diamond and Pearl era cards that you can buy for, in my opinion, really, really cheap prices, especially when you consider that the 25th anniversary set is coming up, and we've already seen that Creatures Inc. are reimagining cards, and we know they're going to reprint old cards as promos. If you want to get onto those older cards, you should do it sooner rather than later, because if they do announce a reprint of a particular type of card, like the Gold Star Umbreon, for example, you will have missed the boat. So look for those cards now. Challenge yourself to find some bargains. Try and create a set around a theme. Maybe pick a Pokemon. That's always a really easy place to start as well. Focusing on just collecting one type of Pokemon, trying to get all that Pokemon's cards. You can do it very easily. This is one other strategy that I learned from the webmaster over at Poker Guardian. Shout outs to him. Restoring cards. This is a really good one. You can buy old cards that are, pretty beat up, restore them a little bit, take a lot of the gunk, the grime off them, and you'll have a beautiful card to put in your binder. Face up, it looks fantastic. You won't even know the difference. So if there is some super rare card that, as a mint condition card, it's too expensive for you to buy, look for the cheaper versions of that card. Challenge yourself to restore the card. And it's adding this extra layer of collecting. If you feel like you're getting priced out on the modern sets, look at restoring older cards. Buy older cards. I've done it myself. So basically, guys, what I'm trying to get at is that even if you might be priced out short term on buying new modern sets, it doesn't mean that you have to stop collecting Japanese Pokemon cards. You just need to look at other avenues. If one door closes, a bunch of others open up. It still can be a lot of fun. Challenge yourself, find something new, learn something about a new artist, and just try and create some sentimentality around your collection. It'll mean more to you than just the financial worth of the cards. You can catch me at twitch.tv/okJLUV. You can join our Discord if you want to learn all about Japanese Pokemon cards. Do make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, peace out.